Hello everyone, hello Mrs. Renita. So today in this video, I will explain why inbreeding is bad based on royal history. So stay tuned. Some of us may not know what inbreeding is, so I will explain the definition. Inbreeding or consanguineous marriage is a union between two individuals who are closely related. This tradition is not familiar in the modern age. Some of us may not even know that there's this kind of tradition, but in the ancient time, the royal practiced this tradition, especially European and Egypt royals. Why? The reason is because they want to maintain their pure royal blood. So instead of marrying someone outside the royal family, they marry someone who is royal in the royal family. So the child, the descendants, will not have the commoner's blood and they have royal blood, like that. So they want to maintain their royalty and their dignity. Now, the example of inbreeding marriage is uncle-niece marriage, first cousin marriage, double first cousin marriage, second cousin marriage, and double second cousin marriage. You can see the picture on the right. Now let's move on. I said that inbreeding is bad. Now I will explain why it's bad and it's dangerous. So inbreeding increases the risk of having autosomal recessive disorder, which is disorders caused by inheriting two recessive alleles. I will explain about this. So each of us have two alleles which expresses our trait. For example, eye color. We have two alleles to express our eye color. So there are two kinds of alleles, the dominant one and recessive one. The dominant one suppresses the trait that the recessive have. For example, the dominant one is the big B and the recessive one is the small b. And the big B expresses brown eye color. And the small b, the recessive one, expresses blue eye color. So imagine you're this little girl right here. She has one dominant allele and one recessive allele. But this doesn't mean you have one eye blue and one eye brown. No. In this case, the dominant allele will suppress the trait of the recessive alleles, which means your eye color will be brown, like that. Now, in autosomal recessive disorder, the child have both of the child alleles are recessive. So it's the child right here, the little girl right here, have two recessive alleles, and she has autosomal recessive disorder. So, but why does inbreeding increase the risk of having this disorder? Now, if both of your parents are family and your family has records of disorder, autosomal recessive disorder, the chance is high that both of your parents have the same recessive alleles. So the child, like this child, will have autosomal recessive disorder. For example, your mother and father are siblings, and they have the same kind of alleles like this in the diagram. So one of four of their children will have autosomal recessive disorder. Just this poor girl right here. And if this continue to the next generation and the next generation, there might be a chance that both of the parents have autosomal recessive disorder, and that means all of their child will have recessive disorder too. And we don't want that. And these are the diseases that autosomal recessive disorder can cause, which is cystic fibrosis, sickle cell anemia, Tay-Sachs disease, and it also can cause congenital anomalies with it, which is abnormalities found when you were born, and it also can cause death. So, next. So to prove that it's not just a theory, so some researchers have done a research in Bangladesh about this topic, and they have found that offspring from inbreeding couples had significantly higher proportion of genetic diseases. As we can see in this table, if we compare the CM means the inbreeding couple offspring, and non-CM means that the parents are not inbred. So as we can see here, disease for bronchial asthma, the CM number is higher, way higher than non-CM. That means it applies. It's not just a theory. And in other diseases, we also can see this is disability, CM way higher than non-CM, and it's real. It's not just a theory, and we have to be careful. And now after this, we will see another proof from the royal family itself. Stay tuned. First one is King Charles II of Spain. He is known as the Bewitched because his appearance, but we don't want to call him that because he's a human too. Basically, we have to respect him. So Charles belongs to a family, Habsburg family, which is a royal family in Spain, and they are very popular for practicing inbreeding from generation to generation. And before Charles was born, the family has been practicing this inbreeding tradition for 16 generations, and that's a lot of inbreeding. Charles was born on year 1661. His parents had an uncle-niece marriage. His father was Philip IV of Spain, and his mother was Mariana of Austria. Charles had some physical disabilities, which we can see in this picture. He has elongated jaw or mandibular prognatism, which does change his appearance. That's why people call him the Bewitched. And this mandibular prognatism caused him to have difficulty to speak, chew, and swallow. Because he cannot chew his food, he often swallows his food as a whole, so he often vomits too, and he cannot digest his food. And he also cannot walk until 8 to 10 years old. He also has various diseases from 6 to 10 years old, which is measles and varicella. He is also proven to be impotent or not fertile. He cannot have child because from his two marriages he didn't have child. He also has short stature. He is also bald before 35. And he also has some mental disability. The first one is he is imbecile, which is the meaning is foolishness and stupidness. And he is melancholic, lethargy. Lethargy means that he is drowsy, and he is epileptic, which is linked to epilepsy. It means that he has some abnormal brain activity. So sometimes he can have seizures, he can have involuntary movement. That means he doesn't want to move his hand, but because his brain has some problems, the hand moves itself. And he is also senile. And Charles died at a very young age of 38 years old, and his post-mortem examination says that he did not contain a single drop of blood. He has a small sized heart like a peppercorn, that small, and he has corroded heart, gangrenous intestines. He has a single testicle, and it is black, and his head was full of water. Yeah, so that is the impact of 16 generation of inbreeding. So we're gonna move to the next one. Now, the next one is British monarchs. So the British monarchs is known to have a tradition of inbreeding too, and they are known to have hemophilia type A. Hemophilia is a type of disease that makes your blood doesn't clot. When you have a cut, so usually when you have a cut, a small paper cut, it heals like quickly. But with hemophilia, even the smallest cut, it can take a long time to heal, or even you can heal if it's the severe one, and you will keep bleeding and bleeding and losing blood, and eventually it can cause death. So hemophilia type A is an X-linked recessive. So what does it mean? X-linked recessive means that the X chromosome is mutated, have a mutation which causes hemophilia A. Mutation is some kind of change that is not supposed to be normal, it's abnormal. So you can see here that men have one X and one Y chromosome, and women have two X chromosomes. So if you have this mutation in your X chromosome, that means you have hemophilia A. But in this diagram right here, we can see that the man is affected. But this woman, he has a mutation in X chromosome. But why he is not affected? He is labeled as carrier. That's because man doesn't have the other X chromosome to back up the mutation, while women have other X chromosome to back up the mutation in the other X chromosome. So the hemophilia in men can be more severe than women, while women, in order to have hemophilia A, which we don't want, a woman has to have two mutated X chromosome, like that. So we will see the example for severe hemophilia A in the British Monarchs family. The first one is Leopold, Duke of Albany. He is the son of Queen Victoria, and Queen Victoria had a first cousin marriage, which is inbreeding too. And Leopold is the first one in the British Monarchs family to have severe symptoms of hemophilia. So he's very fragile, and in the age of 31 he died because he falls, and his head bleed, and because he has hemophilia, the bleeding can't stop, his body can't heal it, and he eventually died at such a young age. And the second example is Prince Alexei Romanov, which is the great-grandson of Queen Victoria. His parents did not practice inbreeding because his mother was from the British monarch family, while his father is from the Tsar, the Russia. So, but because the British monarch has practiced inbreeding for a long time, he still have the hemophilia. So Prince Alexei is also very fragile to bleeding. If he bleeds for a long time, it's hard to heal, and that's how severe the hemophilia if you practice inbreeding. Those are the two examples from the royals that explain how inbreeding can cause severe diseases, severe mutation, and that's why it's bad. What have we learned? So we have learned from those two examples and from the explanation of how it causes autosomal recessive disorder that inbreeding is bad and dangerous, especially if you apply it from generation to generation, like the Habsburg family. Basically, the Spain Empire ends when Charles II died because he had no child, and also we have learned how it causes numerous devastating biological effects, diseases, and I think the most important thing is to see how pathetic someone's life could be. Like like Charles II, he had so many diseases and abnormalities that he cannot enjoy his life as a normal as we are. So we don't want this to happen to our children, to our children that we love, to our offspring, because we don't want anyone to suffer. We don't want anyone to have diseases. So we must stay away from inbreeding, or maybe we can educate other people too. Like, inbreeding is bad, not because it is weird, like people, it's weird, no, because it has a scientific explanation on why it's bad, and we must educate other people gently and not harshly. And that's my presentation. Thank you for watching, and if you want to learn more about this, I put the references in the description box. Thank you for watching. God bless you.